as we look and stare into the abyss. You never know what's staring back at you. It's coming.
All these voices.
We had tons of activity, including a demon attack that caused JC, the founder of Shadows Pit Paranormal, to puke all over the place, like projectile vomit. It was insane. Andy got scratched on the neck. We captured a disembodied face that was screaming, and we also captured a couple different full-body apparitions, which was badass. Now, Baba Yaga was a Slavic witch, but she was also a supernatural guardian. And basically what she did was beat back the forces of evil from the realm of the dead, made a deal with a bunch of witches in the woods in Armenia. She sold her soul. And I am standing out here in the damn rain. I should have listened to my wife. She told me, if you're going out, bring an umbrella. I don't listen. Now I'm getting wet, so I'm sheltering underneath this tree. A nasty creature that I have actually had a run-in with myself. The bastard scratched the hell out of my car and jumped on. It was a mess. I tell the story in the show.
Are you watching? Getting a lot of activity. The spirit box is saying Satan, Paimon, and other major demons, and chanting and singing and whispering. We've never had that before. So you guys are going to have a great episode coming. The camera guy got attacked right now while we were talking. He got scratched. He said something scratched his back, and I looked at his back, and it's got a scratch on it, guys. There's the picture right there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good tonight. How is everybody?
Also joining us tonight is a very special guest. He is the cameraman on our TV show Tales from the Abyss, and he recently got attacked on one of our investigations, and so we brought him on tonight to talk about that. So everybody say hello to Kevin McIntyre.
Hi, everybody. How you doing tonight?
Now, as everybody knows, we do a TV show called Tales from the Abyss. And on this show, we go to different locations and do investigations. A lot of the times, we're dealing with wraiths and demons and some really sketchy stuff. This isn't your run-of-the-mill ghost show. On most shows you watch on TV, if you hear one response or maybe a knock or something, that's the highlight of the show. On our show, we get pretty much a constant stream of responses, and there are attacks and all kinds of crazy stuff that happens. It was during one of these shows we did down at Redlands that our cameraman Kevin got attacked, and we thought it'd be kind of a cool show and a interesting show to have him come on and kind of tell that story and a little bit of the background of what happened that night. So with that being said, I'm going to throw over to Kevin so he can tell his story.
Thanks, James. Well, my name's Kevin. I do the camera work for Staring into the Abyss, and it was interesting. Let me give you a little background here. I started getting the paranormal really young in life, about 7 years old, when things started happening in the house we lived in. Later down the line, was at an aunt's house back east, sleeping in her third floor part of her house, and woke up the next morning with a red mark across my back, like a swatch. Knew something was going on there. Was always told nothing happened. There's nothing big happening in her house. So bring it up to now, to this time. We're down in Redlands. Brought the crew out there. We're all out investigating. It was kind of a nice night out. It was really dark. First time us being there. So you kind of try to get your bearings on where everything's at. We're out walking around. Nothing really was popping out at first. We started going up towards the top of the cemetery. And we started seeing some things happening. Looked like people standing behind gravestones and just getting very eerie. Normally, I don't get too freaked out at all. And all of a sudden, we started hearing noises. So we're like, okay, let's head back down to the car and see what's going on. So we're at the top of the hill, and you can see where the car was at. And it sounded like somebody was messing with the car. So you could hear like door handles popping. And I was like, okay, the car's locked, so nobody can get into it. So we head back down there. Old boy and I are at the front of the car, looking at the car, seeing if anybody had any handprints on it or anybody was out there messing around with it. And I said to old boy, I said, God, my back's really itchy right now. He's like, just looked at me like, what the heck? And all of a sudden I said, somebody has scratched my back. I feel like somebody just scratched my back. So old boy jerks up the back of my shirt, and you can see this big old scratch down the side across my back and another finger mark. And it just turned red. You can see one just starting developing on it. Well, me being the camera guy decides, hey, I'm going to try to get a video of this. So I'm wrapping the camera around my back, trying to get a video of it. Some of the people that were there with us seemed like it was their first time in ever an investigation because they were freaking out. They were just going nuts. We've been to many different locations so far. This is the first time anything's happened to me like that. I've heard voices in other places, but that's about it.
One thing that's interesting about this is when people watch the show, they see old boy doing all kinds of crazy stuff. He was blindfolded in a basement with demons behind him. That kind of thing. They see me going to battle with demons and doing exorcisms and saving families and that kind of stuff. So they're used to seeing us kind of on the front lines. But what not a lot of people realize is there's a person behind that camera that is with us on this stuff. Now, Kevin is the cameraman for the West Coast team for Tales from the Abyss, so he is with Old Boy all the time. Here on the East Coast, I do some of the camera work, and we have another guy that does camera work. But people don't realize that there's a person behind that camera. I mean, you know that instinctively, but you don't really think about that. So when you see us in some really hairy and sketchy situations, and you think, man, that guy, he's not afraid of anything. He's down there doing this crazy stuff, and he's not scared at all. One thing I'd like everybody to realize is there's a cameraman with nerves of steel there with us as well. I mean, Kevin is there in the thick of it, and he can't run. No matter what happens, he can't run. Because if he runs, we don't get the shot. And if we don't get the shot, then I got to yell at Kevin. That's kind of the way this works. So he always stays right in there, no matter what kind of crazy stuff Old Boy's doing, which I think is kind of sweet. Old Boy, you were there that night, obviously, as well. What was your experience that night?
Like I said, guys, I usually go do crazy things. And Kevin's usually there recording, except when we went to Go Bar, because I did that stupid blindfold challenge and I had to be there by myself. But 90% of the time, Kevin's there. Yes, I was there when he got attacked. It was interesting because I've seen people talk about it, and I have been, and I've seen my girlfriend attacked sometimes. Kevin, that was the first time I seen it, so it was kind of interesting, and I had to take it as there's something trying to get my member. So I started saying bad things to the ghost, and we had another team there. They were getting sick and not feeling good, and another one of our teammates got sick too. It wasn't just Kevin who got attacked. It was my picture girl, Joyce, and Shadow's Pit was with us also. A couple of their people got, his stepdaughter got sick, and his cousin was there, Joey, and he said he got attacked too. And it was a pretty crazy experience because when that happens, that means they're not happy with us. And apparently, and just to be honest, they didn't like Christians. And JC is a Christian who is there, and a couple other people are. But Kevin, he kind of is, he believes in God, but it didn't like anybody who did. So I think that's why it was doing it, because it didn't attack me. I'm a pagan. Its first objective is to go after a Christian or somebody who believes in God. But I think they attacked Kevin to get my attention because they were saying it was talking about me on the spirit box. So I think it purposely did that. And it was crazy because I had to calm down other people because people haven't seen that before. And people got a little upset. Kevin was perfect. He was fine. He was mad more than anything. He was talking crap to the ghost. Why'd you scratch me? A couple people didn't know how to take this because some people, when they get into this, they don't see that right away. And now they've seen it and they're kind of like, shocked a little bit. So I had to calm them down too because the things were all, we took pictures and you saw these spirits all around us. So this thing was angry at us, whatever it was. And it said a couple things, and it was weird. It was sing songs to us over we did the spirit box on the phone, the Indigo app. You guys can check that out. It's on Android. I'm not trying to sell it, but you can get it for like $4 or $5, I think. And it makes it sound like children are talking. But it would sing songs in different language and Latin, and it was pretty crazy. And it was a great experience. So I didn't enjoy it, but it was crazy it happened, because then it got me mad because I wanted to get this thing out of there, and I'm going to go back and get this thing out of here in Redlands. But go ahead, James. Sorry.
See, that's kind of the way these things work. See, when you're dealing with either like a very powerful, like malevolent spirit, or a wraith, or demons, the first thing that they do is they make you feel very, very sick. So you get like sick on your stomach, you get a headache, you feel dizzy, you feel lightheaded, like you're going to fall down. Sometimes you get shortness of breath. That's kind of the first feelings that you'll get when you go in, because you can feel the evil. You can feel that negativity, that negative energy. It just kind of weighs on you. So you kind of have to push through that. If they can't get rid of you by making you feel sick, then they'll start working on your mind. They'll start making you very afraid. They'll start causing you to have like rage to where you want to hurt somebody in the group. And they'll try to convince you to attack somebody else. If that doesn't work, then they'll kind of start to take matters into their own hand and attack you themselves sometimes. Now, it's not that common that somebody gets physically attacked, but it does happen. But to me, that's the worst part of doing some of these investigations, and that is having all these other people with us. Because when you're dealing with a larger group of people, especially if you're doing a multi-team investigation where you have not only your little crew, but you also have other teams there with you, that's a lot of people to have to look after. And one thing that I've found when we go do these things with other people is a lot of times these other people haven't really seen much or experienced much in the way of real activity. They might have went out and talked on a spirit box a little bit or ran around a cemetery, but they haven't really faced off with anything really evil before. They haven't had that experience to where you kind of pucker up, if you know what I mean, and everything in you tells you to run away. But somehow you fight through it and you stay and you face whatever it is. They don't have that experience. So when you're out there with some of these people, now I'm not talking about everybody we've been out with, because we've been out with some people that know what they're doing too. When you're out there with people that don't have that experience, at least with me, the way I feel, I have a feeling that I need to watch after them. I need to make sure they're okay. The kind of funny thing is, a lot of times they won't tell you when something's happening. So they could be feeling sick, they could be getting attacked mentally or physically, and they don't really say anything about it. They kind of just keep it to themselves because they feel embarrassed, or they feel like you're going to laugh at them or get angry with them or something if they let you know what's going on. They think they have to be tough and not say anything. Well, the problem is, whenever that evil force starts to act upon them, if they don't let us know what's going on, we can't protect them. We can't do anything about it if we don't know it's happening. And to me, that's the worst part, is you have to deal with making sure everybody else is safe. I know we did one investigation one time where we were after a wraith and we were chasing this thing down and we almost had it cornered. I mean, we were getting very close to having this thing, and we ended up having to leave because there was several people that were on the investigation with us that weren't experienced, and they were really getting attacked badly. They were feeling very, very ill. They were vomiting, choking. They were feeling like they couldn't breathe. And so old boy just had to call it and get them out of there for their own safety. So sometimes it's fun to do these things with other people, but sometimes it's kind of a curse as well, because you can't accomplish what you're there to accomplish sometimes because you have to stop what you're doing to get other people to safety, if that makes sense. Because these things will attack you. You know, I'm not talking now about the run-of-the-mill sitting down with a spirit box and talking to a ghost and maybe getting them to say their name once or something. I'm talking about when you go into a place that is next level, that is absolutely terrifying, and there's evil things in there that want to kill you. That's what I'm talking about. And we've been to several of those, and we filmed at several of those. And sometimes it gets a little heavy. And if it's just me and old boy, then I'm saying let's go. Let's go down it wherever the hell it is. Let's go face whatever it is, and let's get rid of it if we can. If it's a physical creature, let's kill it. If it's a spiritual creature, let's get it the hell out of this area. But when you got a bunch of other people you're responsible for, safety has to take precedence there, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because we're kind of reckless, me and old boy. I mean, we're safe, we know what we're doing, but we're not afraid of these things. We will go to the depths of hell if that's what's necessary to do battle to clear this area. And we are very cavalier about our own life and our own safety. But when you're dealing with crew members' safety, it's a whole different story. Now, Kevin, I wanted to ask you a couple questions here. I wanted to know, what is the most intense thing that you've witnessed since you've become a cameraman on Tales from the Abyss? Either whether it's the scariest moments that you've seen or just the most intense moments.
Well, James, I think the most intense I've had so far doing the camera has been at the cemetery where I got scratched. You know how you say you guys go to the depths of hell, but the problem is I follow you with the camera, so I must be just as crazy as you guys are. You know, I mean, you guys are going down there, and I'm right behind you following you with the camera. All I can say is that I'm there, I've got your guys' back, and I'm ready to see more. Because I've been to Tombstone, Birdcage Theater, I've been to Gettysburg, I've seen things at Gettysburg. It's been interesting. I just like to see more of it and get more investigations so I can have that where I can sit there and go, you know what, out of my top 10, this is where it's at.
We're going to keep doing crazier stuff, guys, so you know, just so you know this. I'm honestly, sometimes I'm going to be honest with you guys, this stuff bores me. These guys go with me, but I'm talking about the ghost chasing is fun, but dude, you guys have got to realize not everything's going on. They do that on TV, but they show everything's jumping out of nowhere. They edit all that. It's hours of not doing nothing, you hear nothing. But sometimes like that gave me, it was fun to do because I like things happen. I think that's what my problem is. I feed off of this stuff, and James does too. And Kevin goes there, and yeah, he's, you know, I trust his expertise. He's done this for a while because he was out and they know us out there in Baggins' place. He does that museum out there in Vegas. He can tell the story about that because he had experience on that in a minute. They saw our shirt. Oh, he's an old boy and Tales from the Abyss. I want to go just other than California, Nevada. I want to go to Amityville. You know, I want to go to that house The Exorcist was at. I want to go to that haunted place in Britain, the most haunted motel or whatever it is. I want to go to Dracula's castle, the real one in Romania, where the most haunted place in the world. I want to go to Gettysburg. These places we're going to go, and you're going to see us, and your minds are going to be blown because what they don't tell you is when I'm down there, I don't know if it got recorded with this demon. You can see there's stuff in back of me. It's disturbing. I'm singing and laughing because it doesn't bother me. Yeah, I'm just used to it. I walk with this stuff all the time, so it's just something you deal with. Some people can't do it, and I forget about that. So I have to kind of lay off and realize I don't want to get anybody hurt. James is kind of the same way. We'll go in. We are like the Winchester brothers. We're like that. The Brothers Grimm. We're like real life Brothers Grimm. We'll run right in there. Everybody could be running out. We'll run right in there. There could be a demon, a monster, a werewolf. We'll go in there. We don't care. Dying with our shield that's just something we are. We're different kind of people. There's only so many people like that. Not everybody's like that. There's some people who care about their life, and they should, you know, and they watch some of these shows and they get some of this equipment and they go out and do some of this testing and, you know, but when it really comes down to it, some of these people get scared or they say they're this and that and they don't. Not saying anybody in my group, but I've seen other groups like that and they don't know what they're doing. Or they have psychics to say they're psychics and they don't even know there's a ghost around them. And we pick it up. But that's just another thing that happens. There's a lot of fakes and that's everywhere. I hear that with all the communities everywhere. But that's something that I have to start realizing that not everybody's don't care and just go in there like I do. Some people get sick. They're easy targets. And that's why I've got to watch what I do now with this stuff. But Kevin's really good at what he does. He goes in there all the time when I tell him to go places. He does it. He jumps in the hole, set up the camera for me to be on. There was stuff coming out. He was standing right behind the hole, and he saw stuff coming out from the bottom of the ground on the floor coming out, flying around. So he sees it all. He's going to be the one. If we go and get on the TV show, he's going to be the one there taking the flack. He's going to be the camera guy. The camera guys get attacked all the time, especially on Ghost Adventures, all these other shows. Kevin's a great asset. He does what he does. He has a lot of experience. He's been in a lot of places. But I would like Kevin, you remember when you went to Vegas, to tell him a little bit what happened there. You had an experience there.
Sure, oh boy. Yeah, we went to the Zach Baggins Museum out there. We were standing in line. I was talking to one of the guys, and he saw my shirt, and he goes, "Oh, old boy, staring, tails. Okay." So, when you go to the museum, you're not allowed to take any video. You're not allowed to take anything. They ask you if you've ever done ghost hunting or anything else before. And as we're standing inside, after we got inside there, started the tour, they asked me to come up to the front and stand in this little room. And in this little room, they have all these dolls, and it's supposed to be all these haunted dolls and everything. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm standing there. And this girl standing next to me, and all of a sudden, this little person comes running out of the bottom of the thing. I was like, oh, that's nice. So the girl in charge of the tour goes, it doesn't scare you much. I said, I've seen more than what you guys have. I look at it this way. If I don't see it, I don't believe it. If it's not there, prove it to me. It's there. That's the way I go through it when I'm doing the camera crew. When I'm looking through the camera lens and I see something, I normally don't speak much unless it's something really big. And I make a note of where it's at. And I'll say something to old boy, say, hey, there's something behind you. Let's keep an eye out for this. But normally I'm really quiet behind the camera so I can watch and see what's going on. I rather observe and get what's going on around us. It's this way, if somebody else doesn't pick it up, I know it happened, and I'm trying to get it all on film. But at Baggins, I'll tell you what, there's some weird things that happen in there, but I think most of it is plant. There's cameras everywhere, so they can have anything happen at the time. I looked in Bela Lugosi's mirror, nothing. There is a mummified head in there that you're supposed to stare at, and just as long as you don't say any evil, bad thoughts or anything, nothing will happen to you. The demon house, he has the remnants from the demon house in there. You walk into this room and they have these walls that come down, so you can't get into anything. It was interesting, but nothing really that I could see is happening. They had a big thing about the devil's rocking chair was just there, and there a lot of things were just waking it up and doing things. I had my daughter with me, my 16-year-old daughter. My wife was with me. My wife was kind of creeped out. My daughter, 16 years old, goes, I'm going to follow Dad. I'm going to see what's going on. She didn't feel creeped out. She says, Dad, did you hear that? Did you hear this? And something like that set up in a museum, I don't know if it's real or not. I like going to the places like the Birdcage Theater, where it's a known fact there's things happening there. I got some photos from Birdcage Theater that were just amazing from there. Gettysburg, I have stuff from there. It's amazing photos from there. Like I said, you have to prove it to me that it's there. That's my mindset, and I enjoy doing it.
I like that, though. That's one of the things that was a real plus for Kevin when he joined. A little background about this. Kevin started off as a fan of the show. He listened to Staring. He liked the show. And when we decided we were going to do this Tales from the Abyss thing, the TV show, we were looking for not only crew members. I mean, of course you need a camera crew and all that kind of stuff. But we were looking for people that would stick. People that we didn't have to worry about running away. Because one thing that I can tell you, and one thing that Kevin can attest to, is we don't do the average, ordinary, boring stuff. A normal response or something like that doesn't excite us. We want action. We want to get down there with the very worst of the worst and do battle. That's what we're about. And we've talked about that on this show many, many times. Honestly, that's been the hardest thing for me to adjust to doing the TV show. I'm not used to filming. I'm not used to having to worry about setting up shots and all that kind of stuff. When I go on a hunt or an investigation, I am going to take out whatever it is I'm after, or I'm going to try to get rid of a demon or something like that out of a house and help a family so they can get back to their life. I've been doing that for years. I'm not used to filming it, though. So that's been the hardest thing for me to adjust to, is making sure that those things are caught on camera instead of just doing them. The nice thing about Kevin is he was a big fan of the show, and he would listen. And then when he actually got to meet us and to start working with us on Tales, he got to see that what we talk about on the show is what we actually do in real life, that it is real. Because I've had a lot of people that have wondered, is this make-believe or is this a real thing? It's 100% a real thing. I've said many, many times on this show that I don't lie to you on this show. I tell you the truth. And sometimes the truth is kind of hard to believe because you've grown up your whole life
thinking one way, and then when you find out that some of these things actually exist, and when you also find out that there are people that go and hunt these things, that get rid of them, that's a real thing. The church has an order of exorcists. We have one on our team that actually go in and do the exorcisms and help people. That's his whole job, is just to do that. It's real. And Kevin got to see himself that it's real. And I love the fact that he's not somebody who's easily fooled. He's not somebody that is going to believe every little thing. And to me, that is very important and very vital, because I don't want somebody that's a yes man. I don't want somebody that is just going to play act or fake things, because I don't fake anything. And I don't want somebody that's going to fake stuff. Because to me, if you don't have that credibility, then you don't have anything. The first time I see a show and I catch them faking something, I lose all respect for them. And there's been shows out there that are on TV where they have caught them faking things on camera. And at that point, nothing they do means anything anymore. Because if they fake that one time, chances are they faked a whole bunch of other times as well. So with him along, we know if something is definitely paranormal or not, because he's going to try to explain it a different way first. If you have a spike on the EMF, he's going to look for power lines. He's going to look for stuff that would cause that before he says, okay, this is a ghost. And that's what we need, because a lot of people he was telling a funny story about that thing at Redlands with one of the guys that was there kind of freaking out. And that is death in an investigation. When people start to lose their heads and get way scared and freak out, you might as well just go home at that point, because somebody's going to get hurt, and they're going to get hurt bad. And that's one thing I like about Kevin, is he doesn't freak out. Now, we've been in some hairy situations, and he stood right there with us, which you can't ask for more than that. One thing I want to find out from Kevin is I want you to talk to the audience a little bit about how you began with us and how you listened to the show, and what your impression was when you actually got to work with us.
Well, when I met James from work, and he told me about the show, and I started listening to the show, and I'm sitting there going, "This is really good." They hit a lot of good topics, Got into it, and I was like, my wife's looking at me, going, "What are you listening to?" "Listen to Staring into the Abyss. That's what we're listening to." She's like, "What do you mean? What's this?" I said, started talking to her about different shows and stuff, and she kind of looked at me and goes, "So it's another paranormal show?" I said, "Yeah, but this one here, they don't pull any punches. They don't sit back and monitor what they're saying. They're telling you the truth that what's going on is what's happening." And I said, "I like that." So when I got to see Old Boy again, I told him, "Hey, I like the show." And he started telling me, he goes, "Hey, we're getting ready to put a group together." I said, "Well, let me know when you're going to do it. I'll be happy to come through. I got some camera stuff, I'll be happy to do some filming and whatever you need done." So we started going out and did a couple different places, and got the hang of it. Liked it. I just got to keep the timestamp off. That's my biggest problem. So James gets mad at me. He's like, "Turn the timestamp off." So that's my name now, my cameraman, the time man. So I just try to keep doing everything going through it. I enjoy doing it. The shows, what they talk about, are to the point. They make you think, and you think of it at a different point of views. And that's the whole idea of what they got the concept from. I mean, I want to go after cryptic creatures also, just like an Old Boy does. I want to see what else is out there, because we know there's more than just what we see now.
Would you say, in your honest opinion, that what we talk about on our shows and who we are on our shows is who we are in real life? Is what the stuff we talk about on the radio what we actually do?
Yeah, I 100%. I mean, knowing you guys, how much I know you now, it's exactly. And, people out there can say, "Oh, it's fake, it's this and that." You know what? I have never faked anything. Old Boy has never faked anything. And James Hershey's never faked anything. And I'll tell you what, if somebody's going to fake something, I don't want to be around if they are. Because my integrity is more important to me than anything else. So, that forth, if somebody wants to challenge me on something, bring it on. I'll tell you what I know. I'll show you what I know. And if you don't understand it or don't believe it, then it's your problem.
Now, see, the reason I did this, the reason I wanted you to give your honest answer there, is not to try to defend what we do or try to prove to the audience anything. I'm not trying to defend myself or defend old boy or anything like that. What I want to do here is I wanted the audience to hear from somebody who was in their shoes. I mean, you were a fan of the show. You were a person that listened every week. And you got to actually peek behind the curtain and see what goes on behind the scenes and be a part of it. And so I thought it was valuable for the audience to hear from somebody who was sitting where they're sitting and is now working with us.
So what people need to realize is the person you see on camera and on how we talk on radio is that's how we really are. Actually, it's worse. More crazier. But I'm not putting a show on. I really am the way I am. People have asked me before, do you really do this? And I'm like, yeah, I really go down and do this stuff. And they look at me like I'm crazy. We do all this. We're not faking it. James isn't faking it. I know there's people you're never going to get them to believe anything. A spaceship could come down and give you Skittles and of different flavors, and you still would say it was something Hollywood did. Because there's just people who I don't think it's they don't believe it. They don't want to believe it because they're scared of it. And that's what it is, or ignorant. I used to not believe in this stuff, and I do now. I've seen so many things. Like, before, my ex-wife was sleeping one night. It was years ago. We were in an apartment. I was on when MySpace was first come out, and my daughter was gone at her grandparents' house. And it was like 1 o'clock at night. My girlfriend, ex-wife was sleeping. And my daughter's baby Barbie car came back out, got pushed out. There was no one in there. I looked. I know when somebody pushes something. It wasn't the wind that came on and pushed it that far out, or the air conditioning or anything. It was during the winter time, and the thing kept going back and forth. I wasn't drunk or nothing. I saw it. I've seen crazy things. I've been attacked. This stuff is real, and I deal with it all the time. I deal with demons all the time. Trust me, they're real. Maybe not what people think, but they're real. Ghosts are real. Or what was somebody at one time. I have my opinions on what a spirit is, but people have different. Oh, it's just a dead. No, it's not. It could be an essence from there. There's ghost and then there's essence of something that bad has happened, so it fingerprinted itself there. I believe that. I believe that some spirits try to tell people how they were murdered because they don't get rest till that happens. And that's just what I believe. You don't have to believe that. I don't care. I've seen a lot of things that can't be explained. I know people think they know what they're talking about, and they go out and do their own shows, and they go out there, oh, we got attacked or whatever, and this happened, and they go to all these places supposedly that were haunted or not, just so they can get something out there. I don't need to do that. I go to places that are actually haunted. I go to places where there's actual evidence and people go. The cemetery in Victorville, there's a lot of activity there. The cemetery in Redlands is huge. There's so much activity. It's one of the hauntedest places in Southern California. Go Bar, very haunted area. Daggett, boring, but there's some activity there. Oro Grande, I used to work by. I never went in there, but I know where it's at. I worked by it. I looked at it before. I felt stuff there. It's pretty. There's like an Indian burial ground. Supposedly, other things are there. Skinwalker. I don't know for a fact. I've heard that rumor. It might be there. The Witch's Castle, I still haven't been able to find. I went to Big Bear to the demon's chair, the devil's chair, or whatever it is. It exists, but there's too many. I guess you're not allowed to be on the property. You can go to jail over it. It's stupid. I seen what it looked like. I took a picture of it. We went and saw it up there. I think it was in Crestline, not Big Bear. Sorry about that, guys. It was in Crestline, California. We're talking about going a couple other places in Loma Linda, California, and Pomona. There's like a old hospital mental ward. We're going to go there. There's one in L.A. Trying to go. We're talking to this guy right now that has issues up in Arizona. We're talking about looking at this house. I have another house that this guy in Adelanto wants us to look at it, but he's been having issues with the ladies there. It's been sick for the last couple months, so we have had to put it on the back burner. So we're going to try to do that one too. But we do this stuff so we could prove to you guys this stuff exists. And like I said, we haven't been able to do crypto. We do crypto. So James is going to probably try to do a Bigfoot episode soon because they're up in the mountains up there by West Virginia. And Virginia, there's stuff being seen. So he actually has a chance that he's going to do a show eventually about Bigfoot, so we can actually do some crypto for once. Because that excites me, guys. I want to see creatures. I know people, that doesn't exist. Come on. How many people have seen Bigfoot? How many people have seen aliens? Come on. There's too many people. I know there's people who lie, and I agree with you on that. A lot of it is lies. But not everybody lies, dude. So that's what I'm just trying to tell people. I hope you guys enjoy the stuff we do. I'm glad we brought Kevin on here because I wanted to get somebody else's opinion other than you just hear me and James talk about it all the time. He goes with us. He used to be a fan. He wasn't even a part of our group. You know, he just listened to the show. And I asked him to come on. He has, and he's done a good job. Other than he can't get the date and time off. But we've fixed that problem. But it's fun. We have a great time doing this. But sometimes we got to watch what we do because some people can't handle it. They're Q sensitive. And that's what I try to tell people, not to think bad. Because when you have a bad thoughts or you're going to challenge this stuff, things happen to these people. They don't know what they're really have the experience to go into the cemetery in the first place. They shouldn't even be there. And I have my opinions in the first place of taking your kids or people under the age of 18 because they're a liability. Something could happen. So just remember, that's just my opinion. That's how James's opinion is. That's why I try not to have people. I have had that, and there's stuff that's happened now. So that's, like I said, I try to keep people under 18, over 18 plus. It's not a liability. We have insurance. Well, some of us do, and the liability won't cover it. So I don't want something to happen or even break their leg just falling down from, just looking around or getting hurt altogether.
One thing I want to do in the future, I want to start tackling some of these urban legends. There's all kinds of tales out there. There's all kinds of legends of different things that supposedly will come after you in certain situations. Everybody's town has that legend of one particular hill where if you park on the hill, then somebody will push you up, that kind of thing. But there's also things where you have like headless corpses that will come out and try to axe murder you and those kind of legends. I want to start tackling some of those. Now, when we do this, I want us to just have a very, very small crew of people. I want just the most hardcore of us. So just the warriors. I don't want a whole big bunch of people doing this because if any of these are true, they're going to be extremely dangerous. And I don't want somebody getting killed unless it's one of us that is more experienced and ready to face whatever it is we're going to run into. But I think that is one direction that I would really like us to go that I think would be very, very, very interesting. Now, on some of the episodes, there isn't going to be anything happening because the legend's not going to be true. But if that's the case, that'll still be very interesting because we'll have proven that whatever thing we went to investigate doesn't actually exist. So I think that is something we should definitely start looking at because I know in your area there in California, there's a whole bunch of them. And here where I am, there's a whole bunch as well. So I might start doing some of that kind of stuff. There's a place here called the Screaming Woods that has had a bunch of satanic activity going on. There were sacrifices that were done there. They got together and did like all kinds of different satanic rituals and stuff like that on that property. There was an old lady who murdered her child and then hung herself in the house. And this is way up in the woods. I'm going to try to do an episode there here in the future. I went there once when I was younger with a whole group of people. It was one of those things where I was in high school at the time, and that was the local scary legend of the Screaming Woods and this lady who, if you went up there at night, she would chase you out of there. And everybody was petrified. Nobody wanted to go because it was the scariest thing ever. You would get drunk and you would talk about going, and then when you actually started heading towards the place, people would chicken out and then you just didn't go. That's kind of the way it went all the time. And I'm a different kind of person. I said, let's go. And I meant it. And I was driving, so there was no chickening out. We were going. So I went down there with a group of people one night. We had some ladies with us and a couple other guys, and we went up into the woods. It's way, way back in the mountain. And we got off the asphalt and onto a dirt road. And on that dirt road, there is a tiny little driveway that you have to find. I call it a driveway because that's the best way to describe it, but it isn't actually a driveway because it's more like a wagon trail or something. It's basically just some rutted grass that's overgrown with trees. You can't really drive up it. You park at the bottom and you walk up this trail. So we park at the bottom, we start walking up the trail. We get about halfway there, and one of the people has already decided that they're not going to go any further, and they turn around and start heading back to the car. The rest of us continue forward towards the house. Now, they don't realize at the time when they decide they're going to leave that when they walk back down to the car, they're going to be walking down to the car in the dark, all alone. So they didn't have a very good time when they got back to the car. They were very scared when we got back down to them. The rest of us headed up to the house. So we get up to the house, and everybody is very nervous when they see that the house is actually there. Because I think what they expected was they were going to walk up this trail to the house, and there wasn't going to be a house. It was just, the trail was just going to go on and then just stop. And it was just going to be more woods. Basically, I think they thought that the legend was BS, that it didn't exist. So when we get to this clearing and there's actually a house, I could see in their eyes how scared they were. They were really freaked out. Now, this was a time before cell phones existed. So it wasn't like you could just call for help if something happened. When you went someplace, you were on your own. There was no help coming unless you could make it back down to the car and either escape, or if you, like down here in the South, a lot of us had CB radios back then. So you could get on the CB and you could call for help and somebody might come help you. But there was no phone. So once they saw that the house existed, I could tell they were a little freaked out. And they did not want to go any further. They just wanted to go back to the car. But I wanted to go, so I went to the house anyway. Once they saw that I wasn't going to back down, they kind of walked up towards the house but didn't really go in. So I go right into the house, and I'm looking around in the place, and there's like pentagrams on the floor and all kinds of symbolism all over the walls and stuff. You could tell that the place had been used for rituals in the past. So I'm walking around. There's a staircase that goes up to the top floor, and there's a staircase that goes down to the basement. Now, the staircase going up is all busted to hell, so you can't walk upstairs. It's just destroyed. I don't know what's upstairs because I never got up there because the stairs simply aren't usable anymore. But the stairs going down are still intact. At least they were at that time. But they're very, very sketchy looking. They're rickety as hell. They don't look too stable. They look like they just might break and you might fall through. So I decide I'm going to walk down to this basement because supposedly down in this basement is where the old lady killed her child and then hung herself from the rafters. So I want to go down there and I want to find out what's down there. I want to find out if anything's going to happen when I get down there. So I go down the stairs alone. And I'm hanging out down in this basement waiting for something to happen. You can hear the sounds of a child. There was giggling. There was the kind of sounds that a kid makes when they're playing with toys and stuff. But I didn't see anything, but I could hear these sounds. So I look around the best I can. I don't see anything. I'm down there for a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and nothing really happens. I hear some stuff, but I don't see anything, and nothing comes after me. Nothing chases me out. So I'm kind of thinking, okay, this is like a low-level haunt. There's not a whole lot going on here. There's a little bit of maybe even like some replay action going on to where it's like a psychic impression of something that took place, but it's not an actual spirit that can think and talk and interact with you. That's what I think is happening here. So I decide, okay, to hell with this. I got women to talk to. I got beer to drink. I got stuff to do. I'm not going to stay here all night if nothing's going to happen. So I climb back up the stairs and I go back out and meet everybody else outside. I tell them what's going on, what happened. They're even more freaked out because I heard stuff down there and they want to get the hell out of there. So we start walking back down the path the trail, whatever you want to call it, back down to where the car is. We get about a quarter of the way back down, and I notice something off to my right, deep in the woods. There's a light. And I was thinking, what the hell could that possibly be? Because we are way, way back in the woods here. Okay, this can't be headlights, because there's no road here. The only road is the dirt road we came in on, and that's way down there. Up here where we are, there's nothing but trees and bears and cougars and stuff like that. And not the fun kind of cougar either, like the kind that'll rip your face off. So I don't know what this light could possibly be, and I look and I can't quite make out what it is because it just seems too blurry, if that makes sense to you. So I keep looking and I keep looking and I can't figure it out. So I decide, okay, I'm going to go see what it is. I'm going to walk over there and see what it is because I don't want to just leave with some weird light in the woods and I don't know what it is. So I start to walk over to see what it is. About half of the people that were with me decided they weren't walking over there. There ain't no way in hell they're walking over there. But a couple of the other people decided they're going to go. So I had one guy and one girl that went with me. So we walk over, we get about halfway to the light. And I can tell what it is at this point. Over there in the woods in front of me was an old lady in a rocking chair. And she was just rocking back and forth. The light was coming from her in the chair. It wasn't like there was a fire or some kind of lamp or something like that. It was literally, they were lit up. And I'm staring at it and I'm thinking, this is the strangest damn thing I've ever seen. Because I've seen ghosts before. I've seen all kinds of creatures before. As I told you on this show before, I kind of got my start at the powwows and I'm hunting that way. So I was no stranger to this kind of stuff. But I'd never seen apparitions that put off light like that. Because, I mean, it was literally, looked like I was watching a movie, like a projection. And she's just looking straight ahead and rocking. Really creepy looking. So I just stand there and I watch for a couple minutes. And she's just rocking back and forth. And I'm wondering, what the hell is she going to do? Because supposedly, according to legend, she's going to chase me off, right? That's what she's supposed to do. She's supposed to come after me and chase me. And I want her to chase me. I want to see what's going to happen. But she just keeps rocking over and over again. There was a sense of anticipation. Now, I don't know if that sense of anticipation was because we were expecting something to happen. And the longer it didn't happen, the more that grew. Or if it was something that she was putting off, that we could feel. But there was definitely that sense of impending doom, that something was getting ready to happen any second. That feeling grew and grew and grew and got stronger, but it seemed like we just couldn't deal with it anymore. Like we were just going to have to leave because it was kind of getting real eerie. She just slowly turned her head and looked right at us. Now, if I was to tell you she had a skull face or she screamed or did some crazy stuff, that would make a great story, but unfortunately that's not the truth. All she did was simply look at us. But the way she turned her head and looked at us, it was real slow and real scary like. Well, the two people that were with me, the man and the woman, that was plumb near enough for them. They screamed and they took off running back down to the road. The people on the road took off running down to the car. I stood there because I wanted to see if she was going to get up and come after me. And she never did. She looked at me for, I would say, maybe 30 seconds, maybe a minute at the most. And then she turned her head back to the front again and just kept on rocking. I stood there for another 5 or 10 minutes waiting to see what would happen, and nothing happened. That was it. So I thought, okay, if you're not going to come after me, then I'm going to come after you. Because one way or the other, something's going to happen here. So that's what I did. I started walking right at her. She never looked at me again. She just kept looking straight forward and rocking in that chair. But as I got closer to her, she was gone. It wasn't like she slowly vanished or whisked away or flew off into the distance or anything dramatic like that. She just simply wasn't there anymore. One second she was there rocking, the next second she was gone. I searched the area, I looked around, there was no sign of her at all. So I decide, okay, I guess I'm going to go then, because there's nothing left, nothing's happening, and everybody is at this point standing down by my car waiting for me to come back, because I locked my car when I left because I don't want somebody coming along and stealing my car or getting into it or anything like that while I'm not at it. So I walk back down and get back in the car and we head back to town. I asked the people in the car if they saw what I saw, if they saw that old woman, if they saw her turn and look at us and all that, because I wanted to make sure that I hadn't imagined it, that it was actually real, that it had really happened. Because the way she just all of a sudden wasn't there, it made me think, did I actually see that? Was that there, or was I just seeing things because I wanted to see something? But everybody had told me, yes, she was absolutely there, and yes, she turned and looked at us, and yes, we about soiled ourselves when it happened. So that's the story of the first time that I went to the Screaming Woods. Now, what I would like to do in the future is go back to the Screaming Woods. I want to go back up that path. I want to go back to that house. I want to find that old woman again, and I want to get that on tape. I want to film it so that all of you can see it as well. So hopefully, well, not hopefully, we will be going back to the Screaming Woods, as long as they haven't demolished the place or something, which I don't see why they would, because it's way up in the mountain. And hopefully I will get that on film for you. I'm definitely going to try. But with that, it looks like we're getting really close to the end of the show. So I would like to, first of all, say thank you to Kevin for joining us. And I would like to give him the opportunity to say anything that he would like to say at the end of the show, any kind of closing, give any kind of plugs or shout outs or anything like that. So go ahead, brother.
All right. Thanks, James. I just have one thing to ask everybody out there. Are we the ghost? Are we dead? And are the ghosts actually living? Think about that. Because that's one thing I always think about. Are we actually the ghosts and we're going around in their world? It's something. It's something to really think about deeply. Let us know what you think. And guys, thanks for having me on the show tonight. I greatly appreciate it. And hopefully we'll have more episodes and things get better and bigger. And I'll keep the timestamp off. So thank you again, old boy. Thank you, James, Mr. Hershey. And I'll turn it back to you guys. Have a great night, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on, Kevin. And yeah, we're definitely going to have more. That's going to be a for sure thing. I actually like this episode. At least we got to bring somebody on who does stuff with us. We've done it before, but we're going to try to get other members on eventually. So this won't be the end of it. Maybe we'll have Kevin on again one day, probably. So he can, maybe something else is going to happen, trust me, so he'll be on again. So if you guys enjoyed it, let us know. I want to give a shout out to ParaX. Thank you guys. To all our audience over the 31 countries or whatever is listening, and all the affiliates, thank you. You want to get merchandise, we have shirts, fleece blankets, cups, etc. You guys want it, he'll tell you where to go. He'll tell you the page and everything so you guys can check it out. And I want to thank you guys for listening to us. I love you guys, trust me. It's the bottom of my heart. We love doing this show. We love doing the videos, too, of going out, looking at ghosts and other things and other monsters, witches, whatever you want to talk about, we'll look for it. You have a suggestion, let us know, too, on a show. Or you guys live by us in California area or the Virginia area / West Virginia area, let us know, and we'll go look at it. Even Nevada, Arizona area, I live by it anyway, so I want to throw that out. Blessed be Misfits, Sugar Ladies, Monster Lovers, Demon Hunters. I love you. Have a good night, and blessed be.
One thing that I would like to ask Kevin before we wrap, that I forgot to ask earlier in the show. I talked about doing the urban legends, checking those out. Old Boy's talked about wanting to do more crypto. What is something that you would be interested in doing? Like, if you could choose any location or any subject matter or any creature to go after, what would be your dream investigation or your dream hunt?
That's a hard one. I'd have to say I like to go after, the Jersey Devil. I'm originally from Jersey. I've worked out there. I've driven down in the plains down in there. I haven't seen anything, but I'll tell you what, it's creepy enough, and I think that'd be something to go after. That cryptic would be very interesting. That's one of the top ones for me.
Yeah, there's a lot going on down in those Pine Barrens as well, besides just the Jersey Devil. So we have a good chance if we go do that of picking up all kinds of cool stuff. So I want to thank Kevin for coming on. I appreciate him making the time, because we record this really, really late at night because I'm in Virginia, Old Boy's in California, so the time thing is weird. And we do this like after midnight. So I appreciate him coming on. I want to thank everybody for listening. Your support is crucial to what we do. It really motivates us to keep going, and we really appreciate it. If you guys have topics that you would like us to cover here on Staring, you can leave them down in the comments section on the YouTube video of the replay of this show. You can also look us up on Facebook for our Staring Into the Abyss page, and you can go and like that page, and you can post there about ideas that you would like to see us examine on the show. Now time for the shameless plugs. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. That's where all of the episodes of Staring Into the Abyss are. That's where all of the episodes of the TV show Tales from the Abyss are, and we also have other paranormal videos on there that we do. There's hundreds of them now, so please go subscribe to the channel and just enjoy it. It's a good time. There's a whole lot of stuff there for you, 100% free. The merchandise store is teespring.com/stores/Staring Into the Abyss. That's teespring.com/stores with an S on the end /Staring Into the Abyss. That's where all the merch is. There's shirts, there's cups, there's posters, there's towels, there's cell phone cases, all kinds of stuff there. So if you're looking for Staring merch or Tales from the Abyss merch, that's where you can find it. Thank you guys again for listening. Thank you for all your support. We love you very, very much. And until we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.